From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Brenda Molina Navidad. More than 45 countries have signed a pledge in Montreal to repatriate Ukrainian civilians, prisoners of war, and children taken by Russia since it invaded Ukraine nearly 3 years ago. Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly says the joint declaration sets out next steps to coordinate efforts to find Ukrainians in Russia and bring them home.
Human lives must be protected. Children, civilians, and prisoners of war must be allowed to return home.
The Ukrainian government estimates nearly 20,000 Ukrainian children have been deported to Russia. In a separate development in the war, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says thousands of North Korean soldiers are now in Russia near Ukraine's border and are preparing to help the Kremlin fight against Ukrainian troops in the coming days.
As many as 8,000 of those North Korean forces have been deployed to the Kursk region.
On the topic of war, Blinken also said today that the U.S. is making some progress on crafting a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon, but is still seeking more progress from Israel on improving humanitarian aid distribution in Gaza, where the conflict with Hamas rages on. Israel's ambassador to Canada says the war in Gaza has profoundly changed Israelis' views on peace in the Middle East. Ido Moed also says Canada should push back on United Nations motions and agencies that his country says are biased against Israel.
On the issues that are on the table right now, we disagree on some of them categorically because we do believe that we are in a historical point in time where principled decisions have to be made, where our moral compass should point us to the same direction.
Moed also suggested Canada could offer de-radicalization programs when the war ends, instead of focusing on Palestinian statehood. Turning to our economy, Statistics Canada says it was flat in August, while a preliminary estimate suggests it grew at an annualized rate of 1% in the third quarter overall.
The agency says growth in services-producing industries in August were offset by declines in goods-producing industries. The manufacturing sector was the largest drag on the economy, followed by utilities, wholesale and trade, and transportation and warehousing. A preliminary estimate for September suggests real gross domestic product grew by 0.3%. The Bank of Canada has described the economy as soft, largely due to high interest rates weighing on consumption and business investment. The central bank's interest rate cuts are expected to boost economic activity and restore stronger growth next year. Najoud Al-Malis, the Canadian Press, Ottawa.
A team of scientists from Fisheries and Oceans Canada has recently tagged 15 great white sharks in the waters in the Gulf of St. Lawrence to better learn about the predators. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Los Angeles Dodgers have won their second World Series championship in 5 seasons. The team beat the New York Yankees in Game 5. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts says it's a fitting victory for Shohei Ohtani.
Arguably the best player in the big leagues, and he committed to us, and he wanted to play for a championship. So for it to kind of come to fruition in his first year is pretty remarkable.
Ohtani, through a translator, says it's an incredible feeling.
As my first year and experience winning the World Series has been a tremendous honor.
After the win, rowdy crowds filled the streets of Los Angeles. In NHL action, the Edmonton Oilers continue their 4-game road trip tonight in Nashville. The Oilers will be without captain Connor McDavid, who's been sidelined for 2 to 3 weeks due to an ankle injury. The Toronto Maple Leafs and Montreal Canadiens are also in action, with Toronto hosting Seattle and Montreal visiting Washington. Canadian tennis star Leylah Fernandez has advanced to the Hong Kong Open quarterfinals. From the Canadian Press, I am Brenda Molina Navidad.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.